This is part 3 of the game of the week, and I'm going to show you some neat features on Chessmaster that I use to help the chess players understand what is a good move and what is a bad move. And there's a feature here called Mentor, and you can find it on the menu at the top of the page. And if you click Mentor, you'll see a menu item called Mentor Lines. And if you press Mentor Lines, it brings up a box at the bottom of the page. And the Mentor Lines show you the top moves in a given position. Now, you can put it from anywhere from the number 1 best move all the way up to the 50 best moves. I personally like to do the top 5 moves. And whenever I play a chess game and I'm looking back at the moves that I look at or the moves that I make, I try to make sure that my moves are at least in the top 5. Now in this position of our game, it's after move 15. If you look at our Mentor Lines, if White were to make the number 1 move, White would be ahead by 17 points, which is the equivalent of a queen, which is 9 points, 2 bishops, which would make it 15 points, and then 2 pawns, which would make 17 points. So White is absolutely destroying Black in this game. Watch what happens here on the very next move. We're on move number 16. White takes the pawn. And you would think that by taking a pawn, White would get a higher score. But if you look here at the Mentor Lines, Black's score has gone down by 3 points. So it looks like White made a good move, but White actually had a better move. And as I go through these moves, if you want to stop the video and try to look for the better moves, you're more than welcome to. Or if you want to pause these and try to find out the better moves, you can. But according to our Mentor Lines, the best move was actually taking the queen and moving it to h7. And by moving the queen to h7, now all White would have to do would be to get their queen in front of the king right here, and the game would be over. Now Black has a little bit of a defense against that because the knight is protecting that square and the bishop is protecting that square. But Black is really, really uncomfortable here. And another thing I like using Mentor Lines is it gives you an idea of what your opponent's moves would be. So if you look here, these are the top 5 moves that Black could make. But if you look, 3 of the top moves that Black would make would create a forced checkmate in which White could win in a couple of games, or in a couple of moves. The only 2 decent moves that Black has is to move their bishop or their rook to f8, which is this move here, or for the rook to take the knight on g6. But that would mean losing a rook for a knight. So just for fun, we're going to go ahead and move the rook over, give them the number 1 move, and then you can see what White could do in response to that. And the longer you let the Mentor Lines think, the better of a move the Mentor Lines are going to make. So here our depth is 2.9. We have a score of almost 19. It says knight to e4, which doesn't really seem like it would be that great of a move. But if you think about it, White could make a move right here. And then if if the Black rook moved out of the way, you could put the king in check. And again, I'm not a great chess player, and it's tough for me to see way far ahead in chess games, which is why I like the Mentor Lines a lot. But you can see here, Black only has 1 move that he can make that would not force a checkmate. Any other move that Black would make could force a checkmate. Now, I've kind of messed up my chess game, but if I click on the File tab and load, I have my game again, and I can go back to the position that we were just at. And so I'm going to, so the actual move was knight to f4. And we're going to go on through the next couple of moves. Black went ahead and moved their king over, to which White moved their rook, attacking this pawn right here, getting ready to apply more pressure. Black attacks the pawn and attacks the knight. But here's the next move that was kind of weak. If you look at the score, 18.64, but when white makes their move, which puts them in check, now the score is only 10.93. And the reason why is because the knight can be taken. So when you are ready to make a move in chess, you think about what's the threat when somebody's attacking you, but even after you think of a square that you want to move to, you want to think about what your opponent might possibly do to you instead. We're going to go back to these top lines for the mentor lines, and the best move, let's see, as you can see that it's thinking a little bit more. So we're trying to find out what the best move is. Here's bishop to c4. Bishop to c4. Oh, that's a great move. Now we see king to h6, putting it in check, or bishop to c4, which would be checkmate in one move. If you were to put the bishop right here, if black doesn't do anything to protect this square, it's checkmate on the very next move. By moving the queen here to h5, it puts the king in check. King doesn't have a whole lot of places that it can go. It could move over to e8, to which then white could take another pawn, and you can see white's getting all these pieces in the middle of the game. And you can see it's going to be checkmate really, really soon in this game. We will load Anderson's game again. We just stopped at move number 18, and so I will put in the move that Anderson made. Black must not have seen that attack on the knight right there, because black didn't play it. Instead, black decides to attack the knight from the top. And if you remember from the second part of this, you might remember that the black knight gets taken. White may have thought about what's the threat, but it looks like the white knight is trapped, which means that it could be taken, although the white knight could move to this square right here on c7 and get out of it. But the best move was queen takes h7, check. And the move that white makes, watch the score, goes from a mate in 8 to 11.10. Again, and that score is going to change. So white went from having a forced checkmate to having to play quite a few more games. And it's tricky as a chess player to know exactly what moves to make near the end of the game. But we're going to go ahead and do the suggested move, which was to put the king in check. If the king, and younger players get really greedy, they like to take pieces. So let's say, oh, and look at this. Really no good moves to make. So if black decides to take the knight, which is what a lot of young chess players would want to do, you can see it's now checkmate in 2 moves. White bishop can attack the king right there, and now it's mate in 1. Black only has 1 square that it can go to, which is that square right there. And then there are a lot of different ways that white can make a checkmate. And it's cool because they can make the checkmate with the knight. And that's a checkmate right there. So if you play a chess game and you write your chess games down, you can enter them into your computer software, if it's ChessMaster or another kind of software, go through and look at the moves and try to find out where you've made mistakes or where you can make moves that are better. And if you can start studying those moves and understanding where the great moves are, it's going to help you to become a better chess player. Good luck. Hope this helps.